let me ask you something, and I want you to be brutally honest with yourself. Are you living or are you just existing? Existing is easy. You wake up, you check your phone, you scroll, you eat, you work, you come home, you distract yourself, you sleep, then you do it all over again. But living demands intention. Living requires choice. Living means waking up with purpose, not just because the alarm went off, but because your identity is pulling you forward. Most people aren't alive. They're just breathing. They're coasting through life with no real direction, no sense of who they are, and no urgency to change it. And the scary part, they don't even realize it. Yeah, the calendar flipped to 2026. Big deal. Time moves, no matter what you do. But here's the real question. Did you flip with it? You can buy a new planner, set fresh goals, post your resolutions, but if your mindset hasn't changed, if your decisions haven't changed, then nothing else will either. New year, same you, that's not a reset. That's a rerun. And I get it, change is uncomfortable, but so is staying stuck. And one of those leads to power, the other leads to pain. Stop waiting to find yourself. That's a myth. You don't find identity, you build it. It's not out there somewhere waiting to be uncovered. It's in the choices you make daily. You decide who you are every time you show up, every time you stay consistent, every time you refuse to let excuses win. Identity isn't handed to you. It's forged in discipline. It's defined by action, not by what you say, not by what you hope, but by what you do. Everyone loves the idea of a new beginning, new year, new me, right? But what if 2026 isn't a gentle reset? What if it's a wake-up call? What if this is the year where life demands an answer from you? An answer to the question, who are you really? Not who you pretend to be on social media, not who your friends expect you to be, not the version of you that plays it safe, but the real you, the decided you. This isn't about surface level motivation. This is about staring in the mirror and saying enough. Enough drifting, enough indecision, enough living like the days don't matter, because they do. Every single one of them. And here's the kicker. If you don't decide who you are, someone else will. The world has a label ready for you. Your job, your past, your failures, your followers, your paycheck. They all want to define you, but none of them own you unless you let them. Life is like a vehicle. You're either behind the wheel or you're being driven. And if you're not steering, don't be surprised when you end up somewhere you never wanted to go. This year, don't drift, don't float, don't wait and see. Get behind the wheel. Choose your direction. Define who you are. This is the year you stop surviving and start deciding. This is the year you stop existing and start living. So I'll ask you again, are you living or just existing? It's time to decide. Let me hit you with something raw. Later is a lie. It sounds harmless, feels safe, looks responsible. I'll figure it out later. I'll get serious next month. I'll start when things calm down. But you and I both know what happens. Later becomes never. Dreams get postponed until they expire. Goals sit in notebooks until they collect dust. People waste years thinking they have time. Let me tell you something. Time is the one thing you don't have unlimited access to. You say you're confused, that you need clarity. But let's be honest, most of the time, you know what you should be doing. You're just not doing it. You're not lost, you're stuck. And the thing keeping you stuck isn't confusion, it's comfort. Because it's easier to say, I don't know yet, than to admit you're afraid to start. It's easier to blame the timing than to face the mirror. You don't need a new plan. You need to make the decision you've been avoiding. The decision to get uncomfortable, the decision to commit, the decision to grow. Every time you say not yet, you're making a choice. And that choice has a cost. Every day you delay is a day you stay exactly the same. Every time you avoid taking action, you train your brain to believe you're not capable. Every time you push your potential to tomorrow, you hand over your future to fear. Delay is not neutral. It doesn't just pause progress, it kills momentum. It erodes confidence. It strengthens doubt. Let me ask you, what has hesitation already cost you? How many chances have you missed because you told yourself it wasn't the right time? How many people have passed you by while you were busy planning instead of doing? How many versions of yourself could have existed by now if you had just started? Look back over the last year. What didn't happen? Because you said later. Let that sting. Not to shame you, but to wake you up. Because if you don't face it now, you'll repeat it again and again and again. Later steals, later silences, later suffocates. You either take control of time or it will take control of you. Life doesn't wait. It doesn't pause for you to feel ready. And it definitely doesn't reward the ones who hesitate. You got two choices. You can float bounced around by distractions, doubts, and delays. Or you can steer, you can set your course, lock in your direction, take the wheel. Let me say it plain. No one's coming to do it for you. The hard conversation, that's on you. The change in habits, on you. The bold move, still on you. And it's not about doing it perfectly. It's about doing it intentionally. This year doesn't need more of your promises. It needs your decision. And that decision needs to happen now. Because I'll figure it out later sounds good. Let me tell you something. Most people are wasting their lives looking for a map, a step-by-step blueprint, a guaranteed route to success, approval, or peace. But life doesn't hand out maps. Life hands you chaos and asks what you're going to do with it. You don't need a perfect path. You need a mission, a fire inside that says, I know who I'm becoming and nothing's going to stop me from getting there. You don't have to know every step. You just have to know your direction. That's what deciding who you are really means. Not having all the answers, but having the conviction to move anyway. So what builds identity? 3 pillars: values, discipline, and purpose. Values are what you stand for, your truth, your non-negotiables. Without them, you'll bend to whatever is convenient or popular. Discipline is how you back up your values. It's the action behind the intention. No discipline, no identity. Purpose is why it all matters. It's the reason you keep going when the world pushes back. Think of these 3 like a triangle. Remove one, and the whole thing collapses. Keep them tight, and you become unshakable. You want to know who you are? Show me your daily decisions. Show me what you do when it's hard. Show me what you refuse to compromise on. That's identity. I know you're going through things. We all are. Maybe you've been broken, forgotten, overlooked. Maybe your past is messy. Maybe your confidence is shattered. But your struggle isn't a full stop. It's a comma. You're not finished, you're forging. Michael Jordan got cut from his high school basketball team. Oprah was told she wasn't fit for television. J.K. Rowling wrote Harry Potter in cafes while battling depression and poverty. What if they had accepted their struggle as their story's final chapter? Struggle doesn't define you. Response does. You've been called names, labeled by your failures, your background, your mistakes. Too loud, too quiet, too emotional, too different, too late. But here's the truth. Labels are given by others. Identity is chosen by you. You can let their words mold you, or you can rise above them and write your own. You can accept what they say, or you can become what you decide. Don't let anyone else tell you what you are. That power belongs to you and only you. You want transformation? Declare it. Not next month, not next year. Now. Say it out loud. This is who I am now. Not who you used to be, not who they say you are, but who you've decided to be. There's power in declaration, power in speaking your identity into existence and then backing it up with relentless action. So own your mess, own your progress, own your mission, because identity isn't something you wait for. It's something you own one piece at a time. And when you finally do, you don't just move through the world, you start shaping it. Let me ask you something real. How many names have you accepted without ever questioning them? Lazy, average, angry, difficult, weak. You didn't choose those names, but you carried them from teachers, parents, bullies, bosses, from a moment in your past that became your entire identity. But a label isn't a life sentence unless you believe it is. You weren't born to carry names that don't belong to you. You were born to name yourself. Most people are mirrors. They just reflect whatever's around them. People call them something they believe in. The world expects small, they shrink. Someone doubts them, they doubt themselves. But you weren't built to reflect. You were built to ignite. You are not a mirror. You are a fire. You don't take energy. You generate it. You don't reflect opinions. You burn through them. And fire doesn't wait for permission. Fire consumes everything in its way until there's only one thing left: clarity. You've been cast in roles your whole life. The quiet one, the dependable one, the problem child, the backup plan. Roles that may have helped others but never fed your soul. Just because you've played a role well doesn't mean it's the one you were meant for. It's time to walk off that stage. Write your own script and play the role you were born for, not the one you were handed. Society builds boxes. It always has. Here's what success looks like. Here's how you should act. Here's who you should love, believe, become. And you squeezed yourself into those boxes, shrinking, bending, hiding until you couldn't even recognize yourself. But let me tell you, you weren't made to fit. You were made to break molds, to set fire to those boxes and build something bigger. You were born original. Don't die a copy. Today is the day you stop being a reflection of their expectations and you start being the fire behind your own vision. Their expectations were never your responsibility. Your potential is, this is your life, your path, your identity. And if you don't define it, they'll keep doing it for you. But you weren't made for default settings. You were made to choose, to change, to create. Stop dimming your flame to keep others comfortable. Start living so boldly that they have no choice but to see your fire and respect it. You think a decision is a one-time thing? No. Real decisions are daily declarations. You don't just decide to be disciplined once. You decide every morning when the alarm goes off and the bed is warm. You don't decide to change your life on January 1st. You decide on the days you feel like quitting. The power of a decision isn't in the moment you make it. It's in the moments you stick with it. Want to know how decisions become identity? Start with vision. Know where you're going. A clear picture of who you want to become, then set standards. Not hopes, standards. Minimum levels you refuse to drop below. And finally, action. Because without action, it's just fantasy. You can have the vision of a lion, but if your standards are soft and your actions are weak, you'll never roar. It's easy to play the part when the lights are on. Easy to say the right things, post the right quotes, share the right goals. But who are you when no one's watching? When there's no applause, no followers, no validation? That's where identity is revealed. That's where it's earned. You don't build legacy in front of an audience. You build it in silence, through sweat, tears, and ruthless consistency. People think integrity is a personality trait. It's not. It's a test. And you take that test every single day. Will you show up when it's inconvenient? Will you keep your word when no one checks? Will you act in alignment with your values when it costs you? Integrity isn't about image. It's about alignment. If your words and actions don't match, you're lying to more than the world. You're lying to yourself. This is how real identity is built. Decide who you are. Not just once, every day. Declare it through your actions. Let your life say it louder than your words. Deliver on it. Keep showing up. Keep fighting. Keep building. Repeat until it becomes automatic. You don't become who you want to be by accident. You decide your identity and then you live it. every single day until you're out of time. You're in a fight right now, whether you admit it or not. A fight for your time, a fight for your attention, a fight for your identity. But here's the question. Is it a fight that matters? Are you battling distractions while your dreams starve? Are you fighting to be liked when you should be fighting to be legendary? Are you spending energy defending your limitations instead of breaking them? Let me tell you something. If you don't choose your battle, life will hand you one. And it won't be the one that elevates you. It'll be the one that exhausts you. Some people sit around waiting for adversity to hit so they can finally get serious. They say things like, when my back's against the wall, I perform. But why wait for a crisis to become who you were meant to be? Don't wait for the storm. Be the storm. Wake up every day with the force of someone who knows what they're building. Move like someone with a mission. Speak like someone with conviction. You don't need life to throw you into chaos to act powerful. You already are. Make no mistake, this path will cost you something, but so will standing still. You will sacrifice that part is not optional. The only choice is what you sacrifice. Will it be your excuses or your potential? Your comfort or your calling? Think about it. The gym costs effort, but so does disease. Growth costs time, but so does regret. Pushing forward hurts, but so does staying stuck. So what are you willing to bleed for? You might feel broken, insecure, unworthy. You might think your past, your pain, or your flaws disqualify you from greatness. They don't. Your weakness isn't the problem. Protecting it is. When you use your pain as a reason to pause, you lose. But when you use it as fuel, you rise. Nelson Mandela sat in prison for 27 years. He didn't let that break define him. He let it forge him. You are not what you've been through. You are what you build from it. Let me be real with you. Comfort doesn't make warriors. Pressure does. Fire does. Rejection does. Discomfort sharpens the blade. Steel isn't shaped in safe places. It's born in the heat. So if you're feeling the fire right now, don't run from it. Lean into it. Let it mold you. Let it reveal you. Because the stronger the fire, the stronger the steel. And the world doesn't need another soft copy. It needs your sharpest edge. Choose your fight. Because if you don't, life will choose one for you. And it may not be a battle you're proud to lose. Everyone loves to talk about big goals, dreams, vision boards, resolutions. But here's the truth. You don't become your goals. You become your habits. It doesn't matter what you say you want. What matters is what you do when nobody's watching. You don't rise to the occasion, you fall to your level of preparation. And your habits are your preparation. Every day, you're training. The question is, what are you training? When you hit snooze, you're training avoidance. When you scroll instead of study, you're training distraction. When you skip your commitments, you're training inconsistency. Repetition creates reputation. What you repeat is what you become. We're obsessed with results, trophies, titles, transformation. But real growth, it lives in the process. When Kobe Bryant won championships, he didn't obsess over rings. He obsessed over early morning practices, film study, and reps to process. And the outcome took care of itself. Stop chasing results. Start chasing routines. Because identity isn't earned at the finish line. It's built in the grind. You want to know who you really are? Check your habits. What do you do when no one tells you what to do? Look at your morning, your night, your reactions when things don't go your way. That's your identity. And if you don't like it, change the routine. Identity is not an idea. It's a habit with a name tag. Every action today is a seed. And what you plant now, you will harvest later. So let me ask you, what are you planting today? Fear, laziness, delay, or discipline, focus, ownership? Because your future self is watching. And one day, They'll either look back with gratitude or regret. So don't just dream big. Act small. Act daily. Act like it matters, because it does. This is the proof. This is the path. Your habits are your identity in motion. Let me tell you something that might sting a little. If you're still keeping a safety net, you've already decided to fall. You cannot fully commit to anything if you're still holding on to a backup plan. And most people fail not because they lack talent, but because they refuse to go all in. A backup plan isn't protection, it's a trap. Because deep down, when things get hard, your mind whispers, at least you've got a way out. And just like that, you stop pushing. You stop fighting. People say it's wise to have a backup plan. But here's the truth. Plan B is the silent killer of Plan A. Because Plan B is rooted in doubt. It's rooted in fear that maybe you're not enough. It's a vote against your own potential. Ask anyone who's done something extraordinary. Athletes, creators, leaders. They didn't make history by playing it safe. They made history by committing so fully that failure wasn't an option. When you burn the bridge behind you, your only direction is forward. You don't need a safety net, you need a standard. Most people want guarantees. They want to know it'll work before they act. But that's not how greatness works. You don't need a backup plan. You need a standard. A standard that says, I don't quit when it gets hard. A standard that says, this is who I am now, period. Not based on how you feel, based on what you decided. Think about it like this. When you lower your standards to match your struggle, you start living beneath your identity. But when you raise your standards to meet your calling, you start rising. You're gonna fall. Let's get that out of the way. You're gonna mess up. You're gonna make mistakes. But here's the difference. Winners fall forward. Losers back out. Falling is part of the process. Backing out is a choice. You didn't come this far to retreat. You didn't go through all that pain just to pause. If you fall, fall forward. If you fail, fail fighting. But don't you dare quit. We live in a world full of half-hearted effort and half-made decisions. And that's why most people live half-built lives. It's time to stop hedging. Time to stop waiting for a sign, for a shortcut, for someone to carry you. This is your sign. This is the moment. You either commit or you stay stuck. You either go all in or you stay halfway and call it balance. But you and I both know you weren't built for halfway. You were built for all in. So burn the backup plan. Bet on yourself and watch who you become when there's no other option but rise. Here's the most expensive thing you'll ever carry: indecision. You might think avoiding a decision is harmless, safe, but every day you hesitate, you pay a price. In the currency, your potential, opportunities pass, doors close, energy fades, because you couldn't decide who you were and what you were going to do about it. You can't borrow time forever, the debt comes due. Time feels generous when you're young. You think, I've got time. But here's the truth. You're borrowing time, and one day that debt comes due. Think about how much you've already delayed. That idea you never launched, that conversation you never had, that version of you that never saw the light of day. Now ask yourself, what's the cost of another year of nothing changing? You don't have forever to make this decision. And the longer you wait, the heavier the price becomes. Look back for a moment, not to dwell, but to wake up. How many dreams have you buried under fear, under excuses, under I'm not ready yet? How many versions of you could have been alive by now if only you had decided sooner? This is what indecision does. It doesn't just hold you back, it buries you. One hesitation at a time, one maybe later at a time, until one day you're standing in a graveyard of dreams you never gave yourself permission to chase. Regret doesn't show up all at once. It creeps in quietly, dressed as maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow becomes next week. Next week becomes next year. And next year becomes never. And when you finally look back, It's not the things you did that haunt you. It's the things you never had the courage to do. Regret is the pain of knowing you had the power, but you never used it. There's a choice in front of you, and it's brutal. Do you want comfort now or confidence later? Because you can't have both. Comfort now means staying in the same patterns, with the same excuses, around the same fears. Confidence later comes from making the hard choice today, from deciding, committing, rising. So ask yourself, do you want to feel good for a moment or feel proud for a lifetime? It's your move. But make no mistake, not choosing is still a choice. And it's the most dangerous one of all. Let's get something straight. This isn't about hype. It's not about motivation. It's not about hype songs or viral quotes. This is about identity. Because motivation wears off. Feelings fade. But identity, that's what lasts. That's what drives behavior long after the hype is gone. You've listened. You've reflected. But now it's time to decide who you are. Not who you were. Not who people said you are. Who you've chosen to become. Deep down, you already know the version of you that's buried under fear and doubt. The bold one. The focused one. The disciplined one. The one who doesn't wait to be told, "Yes, go." But knowing is not enough. You have to say it. You have to own it. Say it out loud. I am not what happened to me. I am what I decide to become. Say it like you mean it. Say it like you've burned the old script and started writing your own. Because once you declare it, you take your power back. Once you decide, you declare. Once you declare, you live. And once you live it, you defend it every day. In every choice, in how you show up. Even when nobody's clapping. Because let me tell you, life will test your declaration. It'll throw setbacks, resistance, critics. But when you know who you are, none of that can move you. Speak it with confidence. Live it with consistency. Defend it with courage. People think a new year changes everything, but nothing changes until you do. 2026 won't define you. You will define it. By your actions, by your mindset, by your decision to live with purpose, not permission. Stop looking at the year as some magical solution. Be the shift. Be the standard. Be the force that makes this year unforgettable, not because it was easy, but because you were undeniable. So here we are. No more sections, no more build-up, just you and a choice. Decide or drift. Own this year or repeat the last one. Step into your power or keep watching others use theirs. This is your moment. Not tomorrow, not next week, not after the next failure or the next win. Now, decide who you are. Declare it boldly. Deliver on it daily. And when the year ends, don't look back hoping it worked out. Look back knowing you built it. You chose it. You became it. Because this isn't just a year. It's your year. Now own it.